Namaskar friends, welcome to the Psychology Masterclass. So this session is useful if you are going to give the UGC NET JRF exam for the Psychology paper second, or you are giving the state eligibility tests for the Maharashtra MS set or Gujarat GTET or West Bengal SAT, or you are giving any state eligibility tests. So this session will be useful for you. The people who want to study the full course with me, the courses available for UGC NET and state TAT are available for Psychology paper second. Also, you can get the course for the UGC NET paper first, the complete course for the UGC NET paper first. If you want to have the paper second, the course now is available with the 85% off, and that is for the 6500. If you want to have the paper first, then it is available with the 79% off of only 4500 rupees. And if you want to have the combo, so the combo of paper first and second is also available, that is with the 81% off, that is for the 9000 rupees. So let us continue the session for the today, and the first question for the today is in the jargon of cross-culture psychology. So this question is about the cross-culture psychology. The attempt is to move from culture specific to culture free knowledge, which is similar to what is the culture free knowledge and what is culture specific knowledge. What is culture free knowledge and culture specific knowledge? So there are two factors which has been given. One is the amic perspective and other is the etic perspective. There have been two approaches which have been given. So when we talk about the amic and etic, they are the two perspectives which are used for the knowledge research, which is used for the knowledge research related to the cultural psychology. Related to the cultural psychology. If we are studying the cultural psychology, then there are two type of approaches which are being studied. There are being two type of approaches which are being studied. So if we are talking about the amic, that is an insider. That is an insider perspective. Whereas if we are talking about the etic approach, it is a outside perspective. Etic is outsider perspective. So an individual who is studying the culture and is an insider to the culture and is studying their own culture, that approach or perspective is called amic perspective. Whereas an individual who is outsider to the culture or the society and is studying that culture, that is called the etic perspective. That is called the etic perspective. So when we are seeing the insider perspective will always be subjective, and therefore it will be specific. Whereas if we are talking about the outsider perspective, it will always be objective and universal. Objective, therefore it will be universal and same to everybody or for every culture. If an outsider is studying any kind of culture, like I am an Indian being, and if I am studying the Arabic culture, I am studying the American culture, I am studying the European culture, African culture, so I will be outsider to every culture, and therefore I will take up the universal approach to study these various cultures. So this kind of outsider perspective is generally objective and universal. So whenever we are talking about the culture specific to culture free, so culture specific, it is specific, therefore it will be an amic perspective, and cultural free, that must be universal, that will be a etic perspective. So the answer will be amic to, etic means etic. Amic to etic perspective. So the answer will be amic to etic perspective. Next question is about the stages of moral development, and if the stages has been asked of the moral development, we will see the obedience and punishment, individualism and exchange, social contact, maintaining social order, and interpersonal. So these stages are from the moral development theory of Kohlberg. They are from the moral development theory of Kohlberg. These stages are from the moral development theory of Kohlberg. So what we see, when we see the moral development theory of Kohlberg, the first stage is obedience and punishment. This is the first stage. This is the first stage where the individual child morality is pre-operational. Then what we see that they are still not developed the social culture, various kind of social culture values. Therefore what we see that this is a pre-conventional morality. This is pre-conventional morality where the moral decisions depends upon the obedience of the adults and to avoid the punishment of the various orders being given by the adults. So what we see, this is the first stage. Then comes the second stage, and second stage is the individualism and exchange, where the individual child sees the moral decision in light of egocentric exchange of favors, whether what he is getting in exchange of doing certain kind of task or certain kind of morality, that is being seen here. As well as also they will see the egocentric individualistic thought process in which they will consider the various decisions. Then comes these two stages are the pre-conventional morality. They are the pre-conventional morality. Then comes the third one, that is social contract and individual rights and maintaining social order and interpersonal. So third stage is interpersonal. It is also called good boy, good girl stage. Good boy, good girl stage. It is the third stage. It is the third stage, good boy, good girl stage. It is the third stage. In this stage, what we see? In this stage, we see that the individual child is trying to appease or trying to follow the various kind of relationships. They want to maintain the interpersonal relationships, and their morality is dependent upon appeasing the interpersonal relations, like the parents, like the friends, like the peers who are with them. So they will try to appease them. Then comes the fourth stage where they will abide by the social order and will follow the laws, social laws. So this one is the fourth stage. This one is the fourth stage. So these two are conventional morality. They are of the second level, that is the conventional morality. And then comes the C1, that is social contract and individual rights. This is the fifth stage, which comes in the post-conventional morality. And then comes the sixth stage, and sixth stage is the universal principle stage. It is the universal principle stage, and they are from the post-conventional morality. This is also post-conventional morality. What we see? We are seeing that the first one is the A, then comes the B, then comes the E, then C and D. So answer will be when asked in this. This is the Wallace. This is the Wallace theory of the creativity. Wallace theory of the creativity. And it has 4 phases. It has 4 phases. So what we see, You see that in 1926, Wallace has given the 4 phases for creative thinking, 4 phases for creative thinking. So first one is the preparation stage. First one is the preparation phase, where individual tries to think about various kind of solutions to the problem, but still don't try to do any kind of solution and continue thinking about the other measures or other type of solutions whichever he can think upon it. Then comes the second phase, that is called the incubation phase, which is the incubation phase. In this phase, individual now don't try to do any kind of solution. They just rest upon the mind, rest upon their thinking process, so that various kind of creative or different or divergent thoughts can generate incubated in the mind. First, what they have to do, they have to stop thinking upon the various kind of available heuristic solutions within the mind. When they stop thinking upon the available heuristic thinking, then comes the incubation, in which various kind of divergent thoughts start generating within the mind. Then comes the third one, that is the illumination phase. After the incubation period, there is seen that various kind of divergent thoughts from the previous available thoughts start generating out of the mind. That phase is called the illumination, where we are getting the thoughts which are not conventional, we are getting the non-conventional thoughts, and out of these non-conventional thoughts we can brainstorm we can have the brainstorming session, and we can jottle down all kind of non-conventional thoughts and then start working upon any one solution, and that phase is called verification phase. That phase is called verification phase. So this is the 4 phases which we think in the creative thinking process, and in this incubation phase, that individual does not put any effort to the problem. Any effort to the problem. So what we see? We see the individual gather resources to solve a problem, and individual thinks about the problem. That is the preparation phase. That is preparation phase. Then individual test ideas about solution to the problem. That is the verification phase. That is the verification phase. And individual thinks about the problem. That is the elimination. So the 4 phases has been asked in the questions. 4 phases have been asked in the. Now let us see the next question. The 2 hemispheres of the brain communicate with each other through. So we have seen that there is a white matter between the 2 hemispheres of the brain. This white matter connects the left hemisphere to the right hemisphere, and it functions as the connector between the 2 hemispheres. Whenever we are thinking about, we are having the gestalt thinking, we are having the collective thinking of the left hemisphere and right hemisphere, the informations travel through this matter, and this matter is called, so this is a factual question, this matter which is lying between the white matter, which is lying between the 2 hemispheres and connects these 2 hemispheres, is called corpus callosum. This white matter is called corpus callosum. This white matter is called corpus callosum. Now let me see the next question, that is the optimum stress level. OSL refers to the stress level at which an individual. So what is the optimum stress level? What is optimum stress level? So when we are seeing the optimum stress level theory, this theory is being given by Hughes and Dodson law. This theory has been given by Hughes and Dodson law. where they talk about optimum stress level, where they talk about the optimum stress level, and it is also called inverted U model, inverted U model of arousal, inverted U model of arousal. It, according to this law, for better performance, for the best performance, the arousal should not be below the threshold and should not be above the threshold. For best performance or better performance, the arousal should be within the optimum limit. It should be within the optimum limit. If there is the arousal is above the optimum level, we will see the overconfidence in the individual, and the individual can get the failures due to overconfidence. Whereas if the arousal level for any kind of functioning or task is below the optimum level, then what will happen? We will see that the individual can go in the stress, and then they can fumble or fluctuate, and the performance can be deteriorated. Performance will be negatively impacted. So they say that if we are going to see the level, it should be optimum, neither more or not less. It should be just optimum, and that is called OSL, optimum stress level. So refers to the stress level at which an individual can work at the highest efficiency. According to Yuxin and Dodson law, the individual will work at the highest efficiency, or the best performance will give the best performance when they will have the optimum stress level. And this optimum stress level is also called the positive stress. It is also called the OSL is called the positive stress. And what is this positive stress? Positive stress is called U stress. This is called the U stress, on which an individual performs best. Let us see the next question. Which of the following can be used to estimate the internal consistency reliability? So here we have to see the internal consistency reliability. Internal consistency reliability, that is the alpha. We have to see the alpha in this. So when we are seeing the internal consistency, what we see? So when we are talking about the alternate form reliability, when we are talking about the alternate form reliability, what we see? We see that here we will take the two alternate forms of same test. So because we are taking two alternate forms, therefore it can't be internal consistency. It can't be internal consistency. Similarly, when we are talking about the scorer reliability, that means we are talking about two scorers or examiners and comparing their score, comparing their markings or scorings. So here two different examiners are examining the same paper and then providing us with the evaluation or assessment, and then we are comparing these assessments. We are comparing these assessments. This is called scorer reliability. This is called scorer reliability. So what we see? We see that now coefficient alpha is actually the internal consistency reliability. So this is the internal. In the Couderton-Richardson formula, Richardson formula, what we see? We see that we take the dichotomous choices, and here also we do the internal consistency. We check the internal consistency. Similarly, in the Rulon formula, what we see? We are seeing the coefficient of reliability, and it is also a internal consistency. It is also internal consistency. So if we are talking about the internal consistency of reliability, the answer will be the third one, A, B and D only. Answer will be A, B and D only. Let us see the next question. On the basis of which we can determine the number of factors to be extracted in factor analysis. So here we want to see the number of factors. We want to determine the number of factors in the factor analysis. The number of factors in the factor analysis, we want to see the number of factors in the factor analysis. Let us see. So when we do the rotation, what we do? When we do the rotation, it is a measure for factor loading matrix. Whenever we are doing rotation in factor analysis, it is a process that tells about the structure of our, it is not talking about the number of factors, it is talking about the structure of our factor analysis. We will talk about the structure of our factor analysis. Now the eigenvalues, whenever we are talking about the eigenvalues are actually what we see. We see that eigenvalues are the factors, number of factors. It is, value is the number of factors. So for eigenvalue, we have to determine the number of factors, then we can assign the eigenvalue to the data. Now when we plot the eigenvalues in a graph, then it is called a scree plot. Therefore it is also the, for plotting the scree plot, for drawing the scree plot, what we have to see, we have to see that the eigenvalues has to be determined. For determining the eigenvalues, we have to determine the number of factors. अभिलाष यादव जी, बिल्कुल ये लाइव क्लास है, दिस इज द लाइव क्लास, और अराउंड इसी टाइम रहेगा, रेगुलरली लेने की कोशिश करूंगा मैं. नाउ द कंटीजेंसी कोफिशिएंट, व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द कंटीजेंसी कोफिशिएंट, व्हाट वी सी, it is the association between two categories. So it will gives us the correlation. It will gives us the correlation. So whenever we are talking about the contingency coefficient, it will gives the correlation between two categories. So what we see that A and D, in these things, whether we are talking about the rotation, oblique rotation, or the various types of rotation, we don't want to determine the number of factors, only the data is available and we can see how the structure can be made for the factor analysis. So if we have to determine the number of factors, then the answer will be B and C only. Let us see the next question. An inherited form of defective color vision in which red and green hues are confused, red cones are filled with green cone opsin is called. So this is the basic for the color blindness. This is the basic for the color blindness. This, it is the oblique and orthogonal when we are doing the rotation. We are doing the rotation, that is called oblique and orthogonal rotation. So myopia is a distance related disorder of eye. Myopia and hypermetropia. Now when we talk about the color blindness is of three kinds: euteranopia, tritanopia and protanopia. These are the three types of color blindness. They are the three type of color blindness. Protanopia, that is unable to see, red light or red color, unable to see, red light or red color. Then comes the deuteranopia, that means unable to see, green light or green color, and tritanopia, that means unable to see, blue light or blue color. Unable to see. So as the red cones are filled with green cone opsin, therefore the individual cannot see the red light, because our eyes have the hues, cones which can understand various hues. So there are three type of cones which can understand the three kind of lights, and mixture and fusion of these three lights gives us whole color spectrum. So when we see, we are not having the red cones, because red cones are filled with green cone opsin, so these cones become the green cones and we cannot see the red light, therefore it is called protanopia. It is called protanopia. Let us see the next question. The structure in the brain concerned with sleep arousal and cardiac reflexes. So what is the sleep center? Arousal center. What is the arousal center? Seat of arousal in the brain. What is the seat of arousal in the brain? So seat of arousal is reticular activating system, or popularly known as RAS. Cerebellum is your ancient brain. It is the seat of archetypes. Amygdala is the seat of emotion, and midbrain is the relay center. Answer is the third one, which is the seat of arousal. And sleep and cardiac reflexes are also being monitored or regulated by the RAS system. Match the following inventory test scale and determinism. So they are the various. Determinism is the viewpoint of measurement or the assessment procedures or psychometry, and these three are the psychometric tools. So what are the various psychometric tools and how we can see it? So the viewpoint can easily understood. We can easily determine the determinism. We can easily see it because only one doctrine has been given. So we can just say that D is the third one, because all others are the psychometric tools, measure. Rest of the three are psychometric tools. Therefore, we can easily understand that determinism, the doctrine, and doctrine of belief that events have natural causes is called determinism. Every psychological event is caused by natural causes. That philosophy, that belief system is called determinism. Then comes the inventory, test, and scale. So when we are talking about the scale, what we see? We see a series of a range of specific characteristics, that is called scaling. It is measured like in the IQ. What we see that we are doing from below average to the gifted. We are making a scale, and we will provide various kind of scalings, increasing or decreasing type. Now when we are talking about the single score, it is a number of specific characteristics that will say we will draw out a range of measure, then it is a scale. Whenever we are drawing out a range of measurement, then it is a scale. When we are providing a single score, so what we are doing? Whenever we are providing a single score, what we are doing? What we see? We see that when we are drawing the single score, then we are testing. What we are doing? We are testing, because after the test we will assess the various capabilities and provide a singular score, whether in the grading system or in the marking system. We will provide a score so that we can compare the score with the other individuals. We can compare the score with the other individuals. That is the purpose of the test. Whereas when we are talking about the inventory, what we see? In inventory, we will provide the series of questions, the list of questions. What we will provide? We will provide the list of questions. So inventory is the list of questions which is used to identify the variety of individual characteristics. So what we see? We will see that A is for the fourth, B is for the first, C is for the second. So answer will be the fourth one. So friends, this is for the day. I hope you have enjoyed the session. Daily I will be live around 4:45 to 5 p.m. Between the 4:45 and 5 p.m. I will be live, and will take the MCQs for the psychology, targeting the UGC NET and the state set exams. So all the people who are with us, all the friends with us for this session, thank you for being in this session. We will meet again in the next class. Goodbye. Jai Hind.